Hi, it's Tamika Schilbe, and today we're talking about the difference between taking responsibility for ourselves in our lives, mostly in our relationships with others, because that's usually where the work is, and the difference between that and blaming ourselves or feeling ashamed of ourselves. And each of us has a different capacity to take responsibility for ourselves. And that's based on how solid we're feeling. It's based on kind of our upbringing and what we've had modeled. It's based on how we understand our role in the bigger picture in the universe. There are lots of factors that influence that. And one of the biggest ones is our self-worth. So if we feel shaky about ourselves, it's really hard to say, I screwed up and I'm sorry, and mean it. Now, there's a big difference between someone that says, oh, I'm sorry about that, or I'm sorry how I treated you, and it's vague, than someone that says, here's what I did specifically, and I know how it impacted you, and I'm actually getting in touch with how that must have felt for you being in that with me. There's a big difference between that and a vague, I'm sorry. If we get one of those vague I'm sorry's, is to say, what are you sorry for exactly? It's okay to say that to someone when they're apologizing, even if it's taken them a lot of energy to muster it up. Because sometimes what you'll find is the person might even say, I'm sorry that you're such a crappy person. I'm totally exaggerating. But it does sometimes come out like that. And I'm sorry isn't good enough just standing on its own. It's got to come from what the person has reflected on. And there's a feeling with a genuine I'm sorry. A genuine apology does not beg something of the other person. So if I'm sorry that I did something, I'm not going to do it to get something from you. I'm going to say it for myself too, for my own peace of mind, for my own clarity, for my own growth, so that I can move forward knowing I did everything that I could. We actually can't have true intimacy and closeness with others if we can't take responsibility for our own actions. It just doesn't really work, because as we get closer to people, there's more messes to clean up because we're in each other's space. We're breathing with each other and living with each other and, being with each other so much. There's more to clean up. Taking responsibility for ourselves is also the only way that we move forward in a positive direction. It's recognizing imperfection. It's recognizing our vulnerability. It's recognizing that life can be really hard. When we're able to take responsibility for ourselves, it signals the universe that we're actually a committed partner in change, a committed partner in growth, a committed partner in creating a new future. When we constantly avoid the apologies, the I'm sorries, I screwed up, we actually prevent the universe from opening new doors of possibility. So when we are in a close relationship where the other person won't change, that's where we have to look back at ourselves and go, this isn't working for me. How can I continue my life blaming that person for how I feel? That doesn't work. The thing about doing that is that it's completely disempowering. It means that you are constantly a victim of someone else's actions. That just feels so crappy. One thing to be aware of is taking over responsibility. So sometimes the sensitive, open-hearted empaths in the world can take responsibility for everything. And that means that they might not look at someone's actions and say, hey, that's not okay. That's a boundary that we need to have sometimes, is to say, yeah, this isn't about me. That wasn't okay what you did. And for some people, that's very hard to do. So I want to caution you about taking responsibility for things that actually aren't your fault. Now, there are some personality types that cannot take responsibility for anything, really. And that's because their sense of self is so fragile that if they admit to their own wrongdoing, everything shatters. Their image of themselves shatters into a million pieces. And I think we have to be compassionate to those people. They're difficult to be in relationship with because this is in the realm of narcissism. How they've grown into who they are today is by avoiding that responsibility and making themselves more important than other people. And what we have to be really cautious about when we take responsibility for ourselves with a narcissist is that if we admit to vulnerability, they will often use it against us later. So if you're in a relationship with someone and you bring your heartfelt apology to them and they use it against you later when you're low or to their advantage or to make themselves seem more important than you are, just be very cautious about that, because you might start to blame yourself for things that aren't yours. Be careful and look after yourself. So when you take responsibility for yourself, it should feel empowering. It's not always easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but after you work it out with that person, it should feel empowering. It should feel clean. I'd love to hear, was this helpful for you? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you soon. Where is that moon? Where are you, Mother Moon? I don't know. Maybe you can see it.